we're going to make history today probably because we make more power than anybody on Ferraris, and we're going to, have some fun and prove that today while we get rid of this limp mode. So this guy has like an $850,000 paperweight. It can't go past 3,000 RPM.
All right, listen up. If you're into tuning or want to peek behind the curtain of the calibrating stock ECU world, then this video release from Matt over at HD Tuning on a Ferrari SF90 is pretty interesting. There's a link to the full video so you can check it out, and go ahead and subscribe while you're at it. They're doing top tier tunes on some of the craziest supercars.
Novatech customer service said you did something wrong, so they took it to the dealership, and the dealership confirmed it has all these codes for GPF. You cannot take an exhaust off of a Ferrari without getting codes. My job is to make the car happy. You know what I mean? That's what tuning is. We're fine tuning. So let's have some fun.
As some of you may know, we've been working closely with HD Tuning for a number of years for custom tunes, and no surprise, like his Pagani Huayra tune, he is making history, but now on an SF90. He's always been at the forefront, especially when it comes to Ferraris.
Okay, so I just flashed a file so we could dyno the car with the stock power. So it just has the codes deleted. We're gonna run the car, see what the baseline is, then I'll do my changes, I'll do the magic, and then we'll see what it makes again.
It's so refreshing to hear Matt not mystify the process like so many of the big name tuners, but it's getting trickier and trickier to modify these new cars. Increasing emissions regulations, advancing technology, it means the aftermarket always has to be advancing as well. For a lot of cars, making power is no longer just as simple as throwing on some downpipes and getting a canned tune. Many ECUs communicate with other modules to limit the torque. It's not only just the engine computer that will put many of these new cars into limp mode.
It made mid 700s at the wheels. So this is our baseline. It's kind of disappointing, but I want to point out, these are the fans that we have. The intakes are on the side of the car. So there's no fans feeding the intakes. It's just sucking in ambient air, and it's kind of hot. It's Arizona.
All right, so he gets the limp mode problem resolved and has a baseline to measure his gains against. This is the most important part of tuning because you need to be able to see exactly how your changes are affecting the power.
From this baseline, we'll take this as like the starting point, and we're going to measure the delta. That's why we're at the dyno. And then we'll calculate crank horsepower after, without touching anything. This is just getting it out of limp mode with the stock file, and that's what the graph looks like. I apologize for the Nintendo 64 graphics. It's,
what we got to work with.
It's what we have, so. It's exciting though, it's working.
Knowing what I know about other Ferraris with similar powertrains, Matt's gain on those, 100 wheel horsepower gain over stock on an inertia dyno, and not like ours, is pretty much expected.
30 horsepower is not gonna cut it. Okay, so let's make a prediction. How much do you think?
850.
You think 850?
Yeah.
You really believe in me, okay.
Yeah.
850 you?
Yeah, I'd say like close to 100 wheel gain.
Okay.
It's not catless, so.
It's not catless. I'm gonna beat that. Over 100, for sure. I think because you modify the exhaust, you're changing everything that the car's calculating, right? It's expecting a certain amount of temperature, back pressure, all this stuff. When you modify the car and don't tune it, I think it makes less power than stock. I think if it was bone stock, we put it in dyno mode and ran it, it would make more than this. Which is why you need to tune.
Putting an exhaust on this car will probably result in a loss. Wow. It's Ferrari, so no surprise there.
Steve wants me to make it super aggressive right away, but I think we should go incrementally. It's making a lot of torque, and I'm not sure how much the transmission can handle. This is basically like, this would be the limit of what I would say is safe on, let's say, a 720, a 488, an F8. Like 1,000 newton meters is 737 foot-pounds, and this is making 680 at the wheels, torque. So I'm gonna try to be careful with low-end torque and try and point power up. Yeah, so now that I see it, it's like, okay, my approach is gonna be different. Rather than give it the beans, like let's make sure it's safe.
This video's got lots of good info here on what's expected tuning an exotic, let alone 1,000 horsepower car, and keeping them from breaking. An important distinction. A lot of people think that tuning is just upping the boost and timing and playing with air fuels, but Matt's going to do a lot more than that here. He's got the ability, knowledge, and experience to manipulate the load areas and limiters to actually send power to specific areas to avoid exceeding the limits of the transmission in those low RPM, high load areas. Key to keeping the car from freaking out, but more importantly, longevity, reliability. No one wants a busted Ferrari engine.
I hate when like they make a high red line, but the car is not making power up there. Yeah. Like an Aventador is a straight line up. So if you push out the rev limit, you make more power. Yeah. You know, the only difference between an Aventador, Aventador S, SV, SVJ, they increase the rev limit. Like everything else is the same. It's just like 150 RPM more each time they release the same shit to you. Huh. Like the same as a different body kit. We did something to the engine. It's the same engine.
It's a limiter.
Just a limiter. But it's because it goes straight up.
This Aventador rev limit info is pretty eye-opening. I'd love to fact check him on this. Maybe you guys in the comments heard differently.
So each car will have different software versions depending on territory. Like Japan will have 5 different versions, the US will have 5 different versions, and as you know, the cars progress, they have different software versions. The Spiders will have different software than the Coupes. So I have to go through needle in a haystack, one by one, find each map and each software version. But that's what makes us different is I'm actually the one who made the changes. I'm the one who I buy a file from the factory and I spend the time to find out what each individual byte does. And that's what tuning is. So a lot of people they copy and paste a file, they buy a file from Eastern Europe, from a country that doesn't even have an SF90. And then they Control-C, Control-V, and they sell it, and they make a lot of money. They make more money than I do, but I'm a craftsman. This is the hard part. This is the part that I get paid the big bucks for. And there isn't a lot of people doing it this way. So it's usually someone like me does the hard part, and then someone steals it. And it's fine, it's like part of business, you know? Competition makes everything better. So I'm not sore about it. It's okay that things get stolen, but also now instead of waiting for other people to get the credit for it. I had the first F8 on the market that was catless and no exhaust without the limp mode. I don't get credit for it. I'm not in the history books, Guinness books, don't care about me. But I'm doing my job and I'm doing it to the best of my ability. So I might as well show people what goes into it. This is the hard part. It's the fun part for me because I'm solving a problem, but it's tedious. So this part will take me a while. When I make the base file, we'll have revisions will come quick, but there's so many little bytes because this is such a complex car with a hybrid system. It's also Spider, so the file version is rare. So this part might take me an hour, if not longer.
Man, I can't tell you how refreshing it is to hear a tuner talk about buying a base file's definitions. Most tuners just use vague words to hide the fact that this is what they're doing, and they try to imply that they're reverse engineering the code line by line, when in reality it's just what the tuner pays for in the beginning and how much effort and testing they put into it after. If you've got good marketing, you can buy a done-for-you file and resell it, or worse, steal it from guys like Matt and no one will know. Maybe sell it with a handheld tuner device and people will think you're Da Vinci. But I guess that's the game here. But talking about it should get people to understand what it actually takes.
We're about to experience some rain, and that means there's humidity in the air, which is bad for power. So the chance for a hero number is probably gone, but we're doing our testing.
We've got more than a few customers who'd probably have an interest in this tune, but we'd really love to build a system as equally bonkers for the exhaust. So hopefully the stars will align and it'll allow us to unleash some insanity. And just as we expected, these are crazy gains on this thing. Man, that much additional torque is going to feel nuts on a vehicle with this much mental power to start. If you've got a buddy with one of these, make sure you share this video, tag them, and let us know what you think about tuning factory ECUs in the comments. And if you've got any questions, as always, reach out. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you guys soon.